Hey guys, Jade here, and basically, I'm just going to do another one of these rankings, but this time I'm going to be looking at bolt actions and what I think are the best bolt actions in each of the campaigns. Now, I'm actually going to have to make a bit of an amendment to the rules for this list only, and only this list, because there is a few things I need to consider. First off, there's some campaigns, of course, will not. Basically, there's a rule I have in every single one of my lists, and that is that if I use a rifle on one campaign, let's say I use the number 4 here, I cannot use it on another campaign. So, for example, I can't use the number 4 here. However, I am making an amendment on that rule for 3 weapons in particular, because otherwise this list would actually be impossible. Because otherwise it would be actually impossible to make this list, because some campaigns don't have any bolt actions other than a specific one and a specific 2. Looking at some campaigns have unique weapons, others not so much. So there's going to be 3 rifles which are basically excluded from the rule. However, I'm actually going to limit these rifles to only being used twice, and those are, of course, the Kar98K, the SMLE, and the Mosin. Basically, I'm just going to have to. I can use them twice, and that's it. Because otherwise, basically, you're going to be seeing Springfields, nothing, and, Mannlichers, and just bad Mannlichers, or, some awful weapons appear on the list in comparison. So it's basically more of for my collective sanity, that I don't have to get a billion. So for my sanity, I don't have to basically put nothing. So, anyways, we're going to start off with what I think has the worst, the best bolt action, then work my way up to what I think has the best. Also, I will not be including stuff, so for example, with the Kar98K in certain campaigns, I won't be including, I just clicked on the wrong one, I won't be including stuff like the Sheeshbecker, I won't be including the GDP launcher, the scoped versions, I won't be including stuff like the, so, for example, if I'm talking about, say, like, for example, let's say I talk about the number 4 here, I won't be able to talk about the Model T. But I'll talk about it and see if it's good or not with the scope. But, these don't take into any consideration. The same goes with like a Springfield, same goes with number 3 with the grenade launcher, etc, etc. You get the point. Anyways, let's start with number 10. For the first time ever, Tunisia Axis is not number 10. Like, seriously, I'm pretty sure every one of my videos has Tunisia Axis at number 10. Well, this time they're not, at number 10, so we're going to go with the Soviets in Berlin. Now, the Soviets in Berlin have their default rifle being the Mosin carbine, which, it's okay for Berlin. It's really good for Berlin, but in other campaigns it's not best. They also had the Mosin M91 30 rifle, which is okay, but the one I'm going with is actually the Mosin 44 carbine. Now, the thing with the Mosin 44 carbine is it's got the bayonet, which is really good. I think it's the only bolt action in Berlin to have a bayonet, and it actually has a faster firing speed than most other bolt actions. Like, you can see here, 49, whereas this one has a 45? Oh, 54, I meant. 54. Not 45. But, yeah. It's basically got a faster bolt action firing speed than other bolt actions. It's got the bayonet. It's pretty decent. However, it's Berlin. You're gonna use them for like 5 seconds, and then you're gonna get the SVT and completely forget about bolt actions entirely in Berlin, because Berlin's all about quick firing than using bolt actions, which this is, of course, quick firing for bolt action, so that's why it's coming in at number 10 as the best. And, of course, the bayonet helps, but, yeah. Anyways, let's move on to number 9. Coming in at number 9 is Normandy Axis. Now, Normandy Axis, again, another campaign which mostly relies on having quick range, quick firing stuff so you can get RKFGs and Gewehr. So, you might be asking which one is it? Is it going to be the Mannlicher or the Maz? Nope, it's going to be the Kar 98K. Now, I'm going to use the scope mount here for this, but the Kar 98K has, it's essentially just, it's a Kar 98K. You can't go wrong with it. Like Berlin, it's best, it's pretty good for, it's actually got a good rate of fire. It's got a better rate of fire than the Mosin in Berlin. Strong rate of fire, very satisfying, a very good bolt action, hits like a train, and essentially it's a one shot, you're dead. And it looks good as well. I really like the Kar 98K in this game. It's underrated, but anyways, it's a very strong, very solid. You can use a bayonet, and obviously it's got the Schiessbecher, the really crap grenade launchers, and of course it has a scope as well, so you've got multiple options with this thing. Anyways, the only reason why it's only at number 9 is because, well, in Normandy, it's just, you don't really, Normandy, again, like Berlin, you don't get much time to use bolt actions, really, which is why it's coming in at number 9. Anyways, let's move on to number 8. Coming in at number 8, it's Stalingrad Axis, and Stalingrad Axis, again, have really only a couple bolt actions. This one's alright, the M39, and this Mannlicher is okay again as well. But I'm gonna have to go again with the Kar. It's the Kar. Like I said, this one's got a faster fire rate. It's got the fire rate, but these have bayonets, which pretty much make them a little bit better. Obviously, of course, you get the Schiessbecher, and I believe you also can get, of course, a scope. So you've got some stuff with it, but again, Stalingrad, you get the Gewehr 41 quite quickly. ZH if you've bought it, obviously. And really, most people are just going to be using the ZH for the most part. Of course, well, obviously in Stalingrad, most people are going to be on another campaign because fuck Stalingrad. But, most people are going to be mostly using either the Gewehr 41 or the ZH, so over this. So, because you get them too quickly in this campaign, which is why Stalingrad Axis's weapon is coming in at number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Coming in at number 7 is Moscow, and before you say it, I'm not actually putting the Winchester here because, again, I included in the rule that I couldn't use the same weapon twice on multiple weapons other than the Mosin, Kar, and the SMLE. So that means I'm going to be using a Mosin, and honestly, the Dragoon Mosin is really good. It's got a quick rate of fire, it's got a really good bolt cycle, it's pretty good. I think this one might be slightly better, maybe with its bolt cycle. It's better at close range, the carbines. But I think the Mosin's just better all round. This is a better all round rifle. Now, of course, obvious elephant in the room that the Winchester is here, and I would say the Winchester is better, but there's one thing that's stopping the Winchester from taking this spot, and it's called Stalingrad, unfortunately. Spoiler alert, Stalingrad's one's going to be this Winchester, so yeah. But I'll talk more about that, why I chose the Winchester there over here when I talk about Stalingrad. Anyways, not really much to say about the Dragoon. It's got the bayonet, obviously, which is really good. It's got a good fire rate. It's pretty solid. It's much better than what the other Soviet starting weapon. Like, I really do not like this starting carbine. This starting carbine sucks ass. Like, this thing sucks. It is generally just god-awful. Like, this thing... But yeah, I'll talk about that as soon as I get a video on the worst bolt actions. Anyways, let's move on to number 6, I believe it is. Coming in number 6 is the inverse of Moscow Allies. It's actually Moscow Axis, and yeah, they've actually got a few. Not really. They don't have that many good bolt action, but they do have the VZ-24. Now, the VZ-24 is by far their best bolt action. I love the VZ. I generally use this on everyone. You can see here, I've got it on everyone. The Gavir 3340 is also pretty good. Just a lot of good Czech weapons, to be honest. So the VZ is pretty decent if you've got it. Well, obviously the VZ. So, yeah. So why is the VZ so good? Well, it's got the bayonet. It also has, it's quicker firing than most other rifles. It's really quick firing. It's pretty solid, and it honestly hits like a train. So you can see here with some of the carbine weapons, you can see here they do 20 damage. But this thing does, obviously this, look at this, 23 damage base. This thing hits like a freight train, and it's fast firing, so it's really good. It's generally one of the best. Honestly, I would say it's one of, if not the best. One of the best. What are they called? One of the best bolt actions in the game, but obviously it's not the best, and it's coming in at number 6. Anyways, let's move on to number 5. Coming in number 5 is Stalingrad's choice, which is undoubtedly the Winchester. Now, the reason why the Winchester's here over... Now, I know technically this isn't a bolt action, it's a lever action, but hey, it fits this video well. So the reason why I chose this Winchester, it's cheaper in Stalingrad, and it performs its job better in Stalingrad than it does because the Winchester is really good in close range, and Stalingrad for the most part is a more close range campaign than Moscow. So I had to put this thing here over it being in Moscow. Other than that, it's still a very strong lever action. Very good. It's very good. It's got good rate of fire, good reload, and it's overall just it's really decent. And generally, it's one of the best rifles in the game. Honestly, I would say just level up Stalingrad just to get this, and then transfer them over to Moscow. It's really good, and honestly, it's generally one of the better manual weapons in the game. It's a shame you can't actually flip cycle this. I mean, it's a bit big for a flip cycle, but yeah, that would be cool. It's just you can flip cycle it. I mean, I can actually I can probably do it with one of these. I know how to. So, but yeah. Anyways, let's just continue on with the list. Talking about flip cycling, let's move on. Let's continue on with the list. Coming in at number 4 is Axis Berlin. Now, Axis Berlin have arguably one of the weaker loadouts in the early game, but they actually have a very good bolt action hidden in this mess, and that is, of course, the VG2. Now, the VG2 is, for some people, probably the best bolt action in the game. I personally don't think it is, because its fire rate isn't as good as other bolt actions, but it has two main advantages over other bolt actions. One is its box magazine reload, which is really critical because it's a 10 round. Because it's 10 rounds, and that's the other thing, the 10 rounds. Its 10 round magazine really does carry this weapon pretty much above them. To be honest, it's an easy contender. I mean, you've got the Kar 98K, which, I mean, I've used it already twice. I've already used the Kar 98K twice. And the other one is an even shitter Kar 98K. I mean, this Kar 98K is definitely the worst bolt action in the entire game. Whereas the VG2 is very solid. It's pretty much the only outlier in what else can I say about it, really, that hasn't already been said? It's basically just a very good bolt action. Anyways, let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3 is Normandy Allies. Now, Normandy Allies probably has I'm going to have to talk about it. It's the number 4. The number 4 is probably, in my opinion, the all-time best bolt action in the game. And it's got the quickest rate of fire, it's got a bayonet, and it has a lot, it hits like a train. I mean, 22 damage normally, and it's got the quickest rate of fire of any bolt action, and the joint most capacity of any bolt action, while having a good reload speed. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with this. It's a very solid bolt action. The only reason it's not any higher than it actually is because, again, Normandy, the same reason with the other campaigns, is that Normandy, you get access to semi-autos even quicker than most other campaigns. You get semi-autos at level 5, and then level 7, obviously, and the Grand's really solid. Yeah, I mean, most people are probably still going to stick with the number 4 afterwards, but when you get to the M2, it's just basically nope. And that was the only real reason. It's just that, really, this thing has an actual contender in the very, very late game, which number 2 and number 1 don't have as much. Like, by level 20, you're going to be using the M2 carbine, which basically, which throws the M2 out and the number 4 out the water, unfortunately. So, yeah. And also, of course, you've got the grenades here, which are both unbelievable 3-kill guns. And, the M1 Grand is probably on par with it. Plus, with the launcher, of course, it's got the 3-kill gun. So, yeah. That was the only reason, is that when you get into the more late game, you stop using the number 4 because, well, why would you with the M2 carbine? Anyways, let's move on to number 2. Coming in at number 2 is Tunisia Axis, and this is, of course, the first Tunisia. Tunisia, they've got the best bolt actions, okay? So, let's start with it. It's the Carcano. Now, it's this Carcano. It's the Carcano chambered in 7.35mm. And this thing just wrecks. I mean, I would say you should probably use this until 31, okay? 31 is when you should probably throw this away. I'm not even joking when I say this thing will dominate the campaign until 31. It's another quick-firing bolt action, really good at any range, and it's got arguably the second best bolt action sniper with the sniper. Its sniper is, I would say, the second best in the game. I've gotten multi-kills with this thing. It is so good. They're both incredible, and generally, they are well deserving of the number 2 slot. However, there was just one singular rifle that could beat it. And if you've been paying attention, you know what it is. Let's go to number 1. Like I said, Tunisia is the king of bolt action rifles. And it's hardly fitting that number 2 and number 1 was their, it's just them, Tunisia in number 2, number 1. So, it's the number 4. Yeah. I mean, do I even need to say any more? Just, basically, take what I said about the number 4 already being incredibly powerful, best rate of fire of any bolt action in the game, joint best capacity, bayonet, and make it so that the campaign not only is better suited for its style of play, but you have to wait a lot longer before you get a competitor, and you can use it and really there's nothing that really overly supersedes it, and give it a really good sniper variant, and you've got the number 4 in Tunisia Allies. I already said that the Grand was it was a good contender against the Grand. Obviously, the Grand is a good contender for the number 4. But even then, the number 4 holds its own against the Grand quite well. And of course, the Johnson isn't even as good as the Garand, so yeah. Really, like, obviously, I mean, it used to be that you just spam the Peterson rifle because the Peterson rifle was just as good as the number 4, but had a better reload speed and better fire rate. But now, with the buff, the number 4 is still probably the king of Tunisia. Like, I'm gonna probably be using this for the rest of my time in Tunisia, so yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments. You know, let me know what your favourite bolt action is. And I'll see you guys in the next video.